Are the dolls in your dollhouse saying they want some burgers for lunch? Join me and see how easy these are to make. Well, to start with, we need to make our buns. And we actually need to start this part of our project the day before we're going to make the hamburger part of our project, because we are using Model Magic. I've got a couple of various projects going with Model Magic, and it's best to use this up. Now, if you make sure you have all the air out of the package and put it in a Ziploc bag, I like the freezer weight bags, and get all the air out of that, it'll keep up to a couple of months, depending on the temperature and the humidity and all that. But this is an air dry clay, and so it will dry out on you. It won't keep for a long, long time. It'll keep for a short time. So I try to use mine up within about a month. So I make lots of stuff with it. By the way, it's made by Crayola, and it will be in with the kids' crafts. And I know both Joann Fabrics and Michael's carry it. I'm sure Hobby Lobby, any of your craft stores. I'm pretty sure I even saw this. I shop at a store, it's called Fred Meyer's. It's kind of like an all-in-one store. They even have it with their craft stuff. So you can even find it places. It's like a grocery store on steroids kind of thing. So you can find this a lot of places that have kids crafts, especially with Crayola craft stuff. Just going to break off a little bit, make a little snake, and roll out however much you're going to want. I like to make little balls. The first step, making our hamburger buns, we make some little balls. And I want them about 1/4 inch in diameter. I make however many of those I want. And then I get this bag all air out of it. Get the air all out of here. This is my priority at this point in time, before I shape my hamburger buns, is get this bag sealed up. As much air out as I can, and put that aside, preferably in a nice cool spot. So I've got I got 6 hamburger buns here, about 1/4 inch diameter balls. And I'm going to see if I can get it a little closer. Hopefully it's showing up okay. I know I'm working on a white tile, but we're going to put some color here in a second. Get them nice and round, and then take your finger and smush. And what you're looking for is a little flat shape. One of the problems with making miniature hamburger buns that I've seen when people make Dollhouse miniature buns is they make them too thick, and then they make the hamburger and it's really tall and really big, and you know, your dolls wouldn't be able to eat it. So we're making little discs. And we're going to do that with all of these. And then we are going to take our chalk, just like we do when we make any baked product. I've got my yellow ochre chalk. Get my clay blade out of here, because I don't like to have my clay blade anywhere near my chalk. And I want it wet right before I start. You can see there's already chalk fingerprints on this white clay. And just like with any bread, we start with yellow ochre. This isn't my good brush. My good brush is actually, I had to wash them earlier and they aren't all the way dry. When you're using chalks, for most techniques, you do want a dry brush to do it. There are some times when I use a wet brush if I want different effects with the chalk. Be sure when you're buying your Model Magic for this project that you buy white. It does come, when it first came out, I think it only came in white. I only saw it in white for a couple of years. Now it comes in all different colors. The reason I like to make bread with Model Magic is it doesn't get hard like polymer clay. It stays like bread-like. We're going to turn these over and we're going to do their bottoms. Oh, don't turn over on me. Yeah, it's such nice weather this week. We've used our grill a couple of times and I thought, oh, I had to have doll hamburgers this week for the Dollhouse. That would be good. All right, so when you get these done, now with that chalk that's left, we're going to take this kind of a reddish brown color. Not very much of it. Kind of mix it in. And brush this over the bottoms. And then flip them over. This is just like when we make any other bread. We are just chalking. Did I do? Yeah. Second. And if you're going to glue the buns down, you don't have to do the bottoms, but I don't always know how I'm going to use these. Now, see, just a tiny bit of brown. It's not a very dark brown. Mix that in. You want to go gradual. You can always add more chalk before the clay cures, but you can't really take it off once it's on. You can correct a little bit, by the way. One thing I don't know if I've mentioned before is if you get way too much of a dark color on, you can go back over with just some yellow ochre or even a lighter yellowish color and kind of counteract it a little. I want a little more of this color in. I want my buns to look a little bit more brown. That's maybe a little more brown in there too. Just add it on slowly. There. Now they're getting to look pretty good. There. So now these need to sit. I like to let Model Magic sit at least overnight. 24 hours is best. At least 12 to 18. So that it has time for the air curing to go on. Then we'll split these open and we'll make our burgers. Alright, so these have now sat since yesterday. And now this is really thin, so you're going to have to be really careful and watch your fingers. I'm only going to do one on camera and then I'll cut the rest off camera. But I'm pushing with my finger and my thumb against the bun as I'm sliding through, and I'm watching to make sure that I don't go crooked. And you will probably split a few wrong. Oh, that went really well. Alright, so there's one bun cut. I'm going to cut the rest off camera and then I'll be back and we'll make the hamburgers. Or the burger part of our burgers. Alright, once you get your buns cut, be sure and keep them together, tops and bottoms that match together, because they may not fit each other. Now we are going to start the meat mix for our raw hamburger patties. I'm going to show you both raw hamburger patties and cooked patties, because I think it makes a more fun display, and you could do either or you could do both. So we're going to start with Fimo Ochre. That's this golden yellow color. You can use other brands, just try and match the colors as best you can. There's 2 parts Fimo Ochre. 1 part Fimo Sahara, 1 part any brand of white clay, and 1 part Primo Pomegranate Red. There's also going to be just a tiny bit of black. Let me get these conditioned and mix these together, and then I'll show you the mixing in of the black. But this will take a while because the ochre is a rather firm clay. And by the way, if you've noticed, Oh, Fimo Classic is going to be going away soon, but these colors, they have said, will be reformulated into the soft clays. And I've also heard there's going to be a new line of Fimo clay called Professional, and I have no idea what that's going to be like, so it will be interesting to see. But let me get these conditioned and mixed together, and then I'll come back. Alright, so that's all mixed together. Now you see how much clay I've got here. We're going to start with I didn't condition the black yet, but well, it's such a small piece. We're not really trying to make this darker. What we're trying to do is tone down this color. So that was a really tiny speck. And I'll see if I can get this to mix in pretty quickly, so I don't have to cut again and come back. But the idea with this black in here is not to darken it at all. It's just to take that harsh pinkness away, kind of gray the color down. It combines with the white in there and just grays down that color. Now I'm happy with that. Thank goodness it landed on my lap and not the floor. I don't have to start over. Alright, now that's done, so I'm going to go on, pull my clays for color number 2. Alright, for color number 2 we need 2 Primo colors. We want approximately equal parts, the same pomegranate red and alizarin crimson. This color we're actually using half for our uncooked hamburgers and half for the cooked. So that's why I've got larger quantities. So once again, I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to get these kneaded together so that they are nice and a smooth color, and I'll be back. Right, so I've got this one now nice and mixed. And now my hands are completely red, so I will need to get the wet wipe and use that before I go too far. Now what you'll notice when I give you the clay amounts here, and we want, by the way, approximately the same amount of each of these two. There. Those two are there, and this is saved for our other mixture. Now, we need a third mixture, but we don't need as much of our third mixture. So I get all the pink off of my hands. And technically, I should have done this third one first before I got my hands all dirty, but I wanted to see how much I was going to have of the other two. So now, I need equal parts white. I'm going to do this chunk right here in the middle. I like that size chunk. And with that, I need an equal amount of translucent. Now I'm using translucent, use both the white and the translucent are both Fimo today, but you could use any white and translucent mixture pretty much. And we don't need as much of this. We need, well, depends on how much fat you want in your burger mix, because literally that's what this is. This is going to be a little stream. See, I've still got pink on my fingers. But it's okay because it's going to go in there, and I will continue to wipe my fingers off. So once again, get the red off. And see, I can use my wet wipe to pull up a little bit of that. Alright, I'm going to mix this together, and when I get this all mixed together, I'll be back. It's a little pink, but it's fine for what we're doing. Now, I'm actually only going to use about half of this clay. And I want to roll this down into a snake that's thinner than this. Let's use about half of that, actually. I don't want to make quite that many burgers today. I can just save this meat mixture for another time. We want these to be approximately equal. Take just a small amount of white. And the white we want to be considerably thinner. And see, now that it's rolled out, it really doesn't look all that pink. All right. So now, lay these side by side. And you need your knife for this. And we're just going to chop. And we're going to chop it. And now we're going to kind of mush it together again. And we're going to chop it. And the more you chop, the more realistic it's going to look. Just don't mix right now. Notice I'm not mixing at all. I'm just pushing it back together. If you like it better with more light colored meat in there rather than the dark, that's fine. It's up to you how you want to do this. Just kind of jumble it, mush it together and cut it some more. Mush and cut. Mush is a good term for this, I think. And depending on how long you want to spend doing this step, you can make it much more detailed. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to roll it. And now I want to cut little pieces. Let's get this back over here. Hopefully I didn't totally miss the camera with that. Now, what we are going to do, so we've got all these little pieces. We're going to roll balls. And actually, I think if you took the same method and used bright colors, you could make some really cool looking playground balls now that I look at it. If you make jewelry, this could make a neat jewelry piece. But right now we're making hamburgers. And cut them the right size for burgers. You know, these may be a little bit big when I put them next to my buns. We'll see. All right, now we're going to take 2 emery boards. These are just from Dollar Tree. I buy a lot of emery boards at Dollar Tree to use to make miniatures and other clay work with. I love these things. You get, in fact, I just bought a new package for $1. You get 36 emery boards. That's a cheap tool. I use these all the time, probably a couple of times a week, depending on the project. I have so many projects that use these. Now, put one of your balls there. Come on. And smash. By using that, you end up, let's start it, with a really cool texture. And I should have a paper plate over there. I don't know where my paper plate is. But it's really easy to get quite a bit of texture on your hamburger patties this way. So just line up a bunch of them here. And then we bake these off according to the package directions for whatever brand clay you're using. If you are using 2 brands of clay that take different temperatures, go by the lowest temperature setting for the clays. The translucent will probably be our lowest temp. So there we go. Now I'm going to clear this up and we are going to make the cooked meat. Alright, now we are going to Take some of that leftover dark red mixture that we made in our last step. And this is just some Fimo caramel. If you watched my clay organizing video, you know I have plenty of Fimo caramel. An embarrassing amount of Fimo caramel, I'm afraid. Let's get these kind of pulled since I got them stuck together. It's kind of warm in here and I've got my lights on, so my clay is getting really warm really fast. Cut off that end that's too big. And now we're basically, ow. Try not to cut your finger. Didn't actually cut it, I just poked it, but ow. Same thing we did with the last mixture, but just with the two colors. I think this needs just a touch more caramel. And once again, we ball this all together. And we roll it out. We want to cut approximately 3/16 of an inch. We want about a 3/16 of an inch ball, but I'm not even measuring. All right, and we're going to roll a ball again. And this time, to save time, I'm actually just going to roll it, lay it right on one of my emery boards. Hopefully that's showing up. Oh, get back here. That one's awfully big. And you could do the same thing to make Barbie size burgers too. Just make your stuff bigger. I think this first one I did is too big also. Yeah, I think that's a better size. We don't want them to be too huge when we go to assemble our burgers. Okay, so the assembly line is not working very well. Sometimes it cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Let's get these moved onto our plate. I did find my plate. These moved on to bake. And I'm baking all my burger patties together. And it's okay if some are smaller than others. I know when I make burgers, I don't always end up with them exactly the same size at home. There. Now, drop these right on here. These can go into an oven and get baked off like we usually do. And when these are baked and cooled, I will come back and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so these are all baked off now. I made a whole bunch, so we'll work with this little batch right now. And I have some glass stain paint. You need brown glass stain paint. And the advantage to the glass stain paint over a craft paint is this is transparent. so you'll be able to see through it a little bit. You also need brown craft sand. And I'm going to put a glove on to work with this because although it does wash off, I find that these thin glass stain paints tend to stain my skin quite badly, and I really don't feel like going around with brown fingers today. Kind of funny that way. So I'm going to, actually I probably don't want to do it quite that way. I probably want to do just one at a time. So what I'm going to do, make sure that's coated really well, because we want a really good coat on there of that, and I'm just going to drop it in the glass stain paint. And we're going to coat these. So I get the last two at the same time. All right, I'm going to get rid of the glove and cap this back up. And now we're just going to kind of shake this around and use something to kind of stir, make sure they are coated all the way around. And that means both sides. Come on, flip over. There we go. All right, and we are just going to let this dry in the sand, and when it's dry, we can assemble our hamburgers. All right, so we have our ground beef, cooked up ground beef here. We have our raw patties. We have our buns. It's time to start putting some burgers together. Now, you could display this any number of ways. You could just put your patties out on a plate. You could put them on a miniature grill. You could do anything with these, really. We are going to assemble a couple of burgers, and that's up to you what you put on your burger. I'm going to just do one or two here and show you a couple of possibilities, and then you can go from there. So we've got a bun. I'm going to take the bottom of my bun, I'm going to put on my tray here. Now I have, a while back I made miniature lettuce out of the snow that you get at Christmas time. So I've got a little bit of that because I like lettuce on my burger. Let's see, this looks more like a bottom. I'm going to put out some 527 cement. I love using this for putting clay together. And I'm just going to use one of these inexpensive little metal knitting needles. So I'm going to put some glue down. And then I'm going to put a couple of pieces of lettuce down. And I like to trim the lettuce off after this is all dry. Put a little glue here. I'm going to keep this fairly simple today. I'm not going to put a lot of toppings on. And then I've got fabric paint. I like to use fabric paint for ketchup and mustard. You can use other things too. It's just something I like to use. Always start it off of your project. I'm just going to try squirting out just a little bit the side of my tile. And this is a little bright. Let's see if I have a different red. Let me stop. This is the red I meant to pick up. It's not so bright. That's a better red. I'm going to put just a drop. Yeah, that looks more like ketchup. And then this is just sunny yellow. Sunny yellow makes a good mustard color. I use it on when I'm making anything I want mustard in. This is usually what I use. Down on the side. Come on. For some reason it does not want to squeeze today. I think that one might be getting almost empty. Put our top on, and that will hold the top of our burger on. And there we go. We have a hamburger. Let's do another one. Let's put some glue on the bottom. My glue already dried. I've got a light right above. See if I put the glue over here, maybe it'll last longer. You can't see it off camera, but just above, right up, you can see where the shadow is there. I've got a light bulb so that we can see on the video. And this was my bottom. All right. And you could make all kinds of toppings for your burger. There we go. Now, and a little of this. Off camera, I'm trying to get the yellow to actually squeeze out. There we go. Alright. Definitely think it's time for a new bottle of the yellow. That's just not working. And put our top bun on. And of course you can put your condiments out in small containers and make, oh, I made a total mess of that one. See if I can do one where I don't make a mess. All right. Let's try this one more time. I think I'll leave the lettuce off of this one. And I think I'll put the mustard on the bottom bun. There, now it comes out. There we go. And that will stay wet for just a little while, so. And of course you could make pickles or, you know, onions, all kinds of things to glue onto these burgers. So there you go. That's all it takes to make burgers for the dolls in the dollhouse. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think the blog post is going to be kind of short because I'm running way late this week, but I will attempt to get a blog post written. I will at least put in the formulas for the clay that I used to make the different mixtures of clay. And join us on Facebook, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.